Hi, welcome to Sweet Dreams Wellness Travel. I am Barbara Tuckett, your host, and the owner of Sweet Dreams Travel. I am a wellness travel specialist. I believe that our mind, body, and spirit all play into our well-being, and I create travel experiences which improve your wellness so that you return from your vacation with more health, more happiness, and more connection, both with those you've traveled with and also with your destination. In these episodes, I explore travel and wellness experiences, giving you ideas and recommendations, and also interviewing people who have firsthand experience of the places where you may want to go next. Welcome, let's get started. Hi, I am so excited because today I have a very special guest. This is Bethany Hansen. Hi, Bethany.
Hi.
And she is so special because she is my sister-in-law. And I'm so excited. Today we are going to talk about Branson. And Bethany, tell us how you are connected to Branson.
Oh gosh, that's an interesting story. Well, I've lived in Branson for 18 years now. I had never even heard of Branson until I went to college. And one of my roommates, her family had a show in Branson, and she always talked about her show in Branson. And I remember thinking, where is this place? I've never even heard of it. And then it was shortly after I got married that my husband's parents came out to Branson a couple of times for show choir camps with my husband's younger brother. And they kept coming back and saying, oh, you guys need to move to Branson. And I just remember thinking, what is this place? And one day my husband just said, hey, I've been thinking a lot about Branson. I think we should give it a try. And I said, okay. And then the next thing I knew, we were packing a car and showing up in Branson.
Okay, so not only have you lived in Branson for 18 years, but you and your husband have both performed here too.
Yes, so that is originally why we came here to begin with, is we were both musical theater graduates. And so we thought, let's go try Branson. Let's see if we can go and perform there.
And it's been a pretty great place, I think, hasn't it?
It really has. It was a little bit of a culture shock for me at first. But when I can look back over my past 18 years here, we have been just so blessed with work, with family, with friends, just so many wonderful, beautiful opportunities that we've had here in Branson.
So the reason that I wanted to suddenly talk about Branson is I'm kind of new to Branson. I mean, obviously I knew that Bethany lived there, but she and her family would always come back home to Utah to visit us. And I had never been to Branson until just recently. We all went out there for a family reunion, a big family reunion with all of the siblings and parents and all the little cousins and everybody. And we spent some time there. And so I just thought this would be such a fun way to talk about Branson, some of the stuff we did, and kind of get Bethany's perspective also on some great stuff to do in Branson. So today we are going to attempt to talk about all the best things there are to do in Branson, Missouri. Let's jump in. One of the first things, and probably one of the most amazing things in all of Branson, and I'm sure anybody who's been there will agree, is Silver Dollar City. Silver Dollar City is a theme park. And it's, what should I say? It's got a theme of the Ozark Mountains and kind of old timey 19th century kind of feel. I don't know. How would you describe it? Is that a good way to describe it, Bethany?
Yeah, it definitely has an old fashioned, dare I say hillbilly, but a little more on the classy end. But yeah, definitely turn of the century, kind of how Silver Dollar City began. There is this incredible cave there. And the Hershend family, they are the owners of Silver Dollar City. The story goes is that they were hunting, I believe, and a rabbit went into a hole. And as they were trying to crawl into this hole, they discovered this cave and they were like, oh my goodness, you need to come in here and see this. Well, then they started charging everyone a silver dollar to come and view the cave. And then as they explored the cave and discovered just how huge it was and how you could go through all these different tunnels within the cave, And it became this huge tourist attraction of people coming to view this cave. But then all of a sudden, you know, a little ride popped up here and a little show popped up there. And now it's this incredible theme park that not only does it have some really awesome roller coasters, but it has great food. There's great craftsmen, like live craftsmen all over that will build, or they're making things that you can watch them make these really cool things and you can purchase them. The live entertainment, that's actually where my husband and we worked for many, many years. 12 years we worked for the Silver Dollar City Company, and the cave is still there. People mainly think of Silver Dollar City now as the theme park, but the cave is still there and you can go through the cave. It's a free tour with your admission into the park. And it is a really cool cave. It's the first cave that I had ever seen. And I was blown away by how huge it was and just really, really neat. And then of course the park itself is so much fun. It's my kids' favorite thing to do in Branson, hands down.
Yeah. I would agree. It's so fun and it's so diverse. Like you said, I think even if you're not into roller coasters, go for all the other stuff. Like it's just amazing. But if you are into roller coasters, that's super great too. So
well, and that's the fun thing about Silver Dollar City is most people think, oh, I don't like rides, but Silver Dollar City, it pulls in people of all ages, especially at Christmas time. Christmas is extremely popular here in Branson, and Silver Dollar City is magical. They have lights on everything, every building, every tree. It is absolutely gorgeous. And that is usually when the more older people are there. They love to see the lights. They love to see the Craftsman Festival, where they will bring in a ton of craftsmen from all around this area. And you can just shop until your little heart is content with the coolest little things that you've never thought could exist. So it has a huge pull for people of all ages.
Yeah. Oh, that's so fun. I would definitely go back just to spend more time at Silver Dollar City. I felt like we were there for one day and I could have spent a couple days just to get through everything. And then maybe I'd want to spend like actually 3 days, because then you could go back and repeat a bunch of stuff too.
Oh yeah.
And try all the food and everything. So that is Silver Dollar City. I had put it as number one because I feel like that's such an amazing, huge attraction that is so fun for everybody. Next, after Silver Dollar City, let's talk about, and this is just a natural segue into this next thing, which is the Showboat Branson Belle, because it is also owned by the same company, right? The same family that owns Silver Dollar City.
Yep. So when I said that we were performers for the Silver Dollar City Company, this is actually where we called home. Cameron, my husband and I, we performed on the Showboat Branson Belle for 12 years, and that was our home.
And was it the same show the whole 12 years, or do they change it up?
No, so they change the show up fairly frequently. You know, they'll keep a show for anywhere between 3 to 7 years, depending on how well the audience responds to it. And then they change it up. So when my husband and I were there, they did a Broadway show, and we did that for, 6 or 7 years. We did that Broadway show, and then they switched it to an all-American type of show. And then of course, the one that we saw when you were visiting was, you know, classic rock and some rock and roll, and super fun show.
Yeah, really, really fun. So you kind of just talk us through for a minute how the program goes. You board the ship and everybody gets seated in their seats where you can see the stage and everything, but they don't launch into the show immediately. So talk us through the program a little bit.
Well, and that's something that's changed a little bit over the years. So I'll try to remember a little bit of how it was when we were there, because it was a little different than how they ran the show when we worked there. So I think they always try to change things up that can be more conducive for their audiences and the changing of the audiences, because, you know, times change and people have a demand for different things. So the grounds themselves are gorgeous. We tried to get there early enough so we could just see the grounds. They're so beautiful. All these paths that go along the lake there, that is called Table Rock Lake, that the boat is on. And there's all these paths that lead all around that lake that you can walk through. But as you get your tickets in a gift shop, they have great shopping there. So many fun things. You'll get your tickets, you'll board the boat. And then depending on how early you get on the boat, you have time to kind of walk around, check it out. They'll get you in your seat and then they'll bring your food immediately. They have the MC that will come out and welcome everyone and kind of tell you what to expect, and you get your food. And depending on how they do the flow of their show, the years that my husband and I were there, they had a live band that played just different, like Dixieland kind of music while you ate your food. And that was really fun to just sit there and listen to. I believe we had 6 or 7 live musicians that were out on the stage while you ate. But this most recent time when we went, they played a video that talked all about the history of Branson and the Showboat, which I thought was fascinating because it was things that I didn't even know. I was very interested in that video. So the entire time we were eating and watching that video, I thought it was really interesting. They did a very good job. But then after that, then we got to walk around the boat, and it is such a beautiful lake. And so you had about 40 minutes to just view the boat, walk around outside. They had live entertainment up on the very top of the boat. There were games that you could play, cornhole, and you could just sit there and look out over the beautiful Ozark Mountains and Table Rock Lake. And that's one of the biggest draws for the Showboat Branson Belle, is everyone wants to see the lake because it is gorgeous.
I loved how when we were there, the sun was setting. And so it made it even that much more beautiful. It wasn't like the middle of the day, which I know you can go at different times, but at the time when the sun was actually setting. And so it made for even more gorgeous pictures. So
it was perfect. It was such a beautiful day, and then after that, then they call everybody in and you go in and they'll serve you dessert, which is also a new change. I really liked that. It used to be that you got your dinner and your dessert and then you went out and viewed the boat. But this time around, they served you your dessert when you came in, and then you got to watch the show and eat your dessert. And I actually really liked that change a lot. And the show is fantastic. It runs just a little shy of an hour. We're looking at like 55 minutes to an hour, depending on how well the audience reacts. That sometimes they'll kind of milk the show a little bit longer, depending on how the audience is reacting to it. It's live musicians, live entertainers, all different kinds of music and costume changes, and it's really fast paced. It's a really fun show.
Yeah, I agree. It was awesome. In fact, the order that we did it in for the week that we were there, the night before we left, basically the last bit of entertainment that we got was going to the Showboat Branson Belle, and that was perfect. Like, it was a perfect way to, kind of end our week. Oh, and if we haven't said, the boat that we're talking about is this huge paddle wheel boat. So it's not just, a random boat. It really looks like turn of the century, this big old paddle wheel boat.
Yep. An old-fashioned paddle boat that you used to see on the Mississippi River. There's a big red paddle wheel in the back that actually propels the boat forward. So it is an old-fashioned, old-time paddle boat on Table Rock Lake. It's really, really cool.
A super great highlight as well. If you go to Branson, you can't miss going to the Showboat. Okay. These next things that we have is probably not as much to talk about and explain, but the next thing that's really fun is they have a Hollywood wax museum. And there's all these life-size wax figures. There's celebrities and, like Julia Roberts or Lady Gaga or Elvis, Harrison Ford, like all of these amazing people from Hollywood. I thought it was really fun because they have props all along the way by the wax figures so that you can put on the props, like you could put on the hat or you could put on sunglasses or whatever it is and take photos with these celebrities. So anything else you want to add about that, Bethany?
Yeah, it's really fun. When my husband and I first moved to Branson, it was very much a live show capital. there were so many shows here in town. And over the years, it's kind of taken a little bit of an adjust, and there's starting to be more attractions that are coming in. And so the shows, there's a little less shows now and a lot more attractions, because that is what the population of people who are coming in, that's what they want. They're starting to not care so much about the shows, and they're loving the attractions. So Branson has so many attractions now. So the Wax Museum being one of them. And within the Wax Museum, if you buy like the full Wax Museum package, that also comes with the mini golf that's there. There's the Castle of Chaos, which is like this, they call it a 7D video where it's interactive. You have like a little shooting gun and you're trying to get points. And so it's this little interactive thing. And then they also have a fun mirror maze. And so that's kind of the adjustment that Branson has been making lately into the attractions. When you drive down the strip, you're going to see incredible attractions all over the place. You're going to see Beyond the Lens. You're going to see Wonderworks, which is this really cool upside down. They call it an amusement park for the mind is what that is called. And so there's going to be attractions everywhere, go-karts, and I think we'll talk about that more in a minute, of the coasters and Fritz's Adventure and Big Air. There's so many attractions as you drive down the strip. Your mind kind of is amazed at how many fun things there are.
I was blown away. Like as you drive by, everything, like if you're just looking at one side of the street, then you miss everything that's on the other side of the street, and vice versa. It's just because there's so many things that you could do there in Branson. I loved the Castle of Chaos. It totally reminded me of like some rides at Disneyland or Universal where you sit in the seat and it bounces you or it blows air at you, or the different things, but you're looking at the big screen and you're, like you said, you're like shooting your guns and trying to shoot the bad guys or whatever the scenario is, the aliens or whatever it is that they're showing you. So I thought that was really fun.
And they change those little shows fairly often. So every time you come, it'll be something different than maybe you did the last trip to Branson. So it's always fun to try something new that they have there.
Yeah, that was a really fun. We also did the mini golf there, and it's a fun golf course. And it is also like kind of Hollywood theme as well. So it kind of carries on that Hollywood type theme, and that was fun. And we did the Hannah's Maze, and that was fun because all the ceilings, the walls, the floors, everything is made from mirrors, and you're trying to, and it's a maze, and you're trying to get through this maze. And anyway, it's got this cute little theme going on that you're trying to save Hannah, Princess Hannah of Savannah. And anyway, so especially
very very, very family friendly.
Younger kids just absolutely ate that up. Our little nieces just loved it. And yeah, they loved it. Went back through it over and over again.
Yeah, they just kept going back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, winding around through all those mirrors. So that was really fun. And then not too far away right there is this aquarium. It's called the Aquarium at the Boardwalk, and they've got tons of sea animals. And even at the end of the little aquarium tour, you can touch them. They've got, I don't know what they call it, a little petting place, I guess, where you can touch them.
Yeah, touch pool.
Anyway.
And that's a fairly new attraction. So like I said a minute ago, how Branson is kind of shifting into more of the attraction, because that used to be a big, beautiful theater. And that's kind of this shift that is being made, that as people come to Branson, they are less interested in seeing the shows and more interested in having an experience. So that theater was kind of knocked down, and they built that aquarium, and it's a fairly new attraction here in town, and it's been very popular. I mean, it's beautiful. There's a giant octopus out in front. And then, of course, the touch pools. All the kids love the touch pools. They have a really neat jellyfish. When you first walk into the room where all it's the moon jellyfish. It's also, the whole room is made of mirrors. And they keep the lighting pretty low. And there's buttons that you can push to change the colors of the jellyfish. And that's really fun. That's probably my favorite room in that aquarium, is to just watch those beautiful jellyfish, and I can make them pink or make them blue or make them green. And they're all surrounded by mirrors. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they have the lily pads at the end of the aquarium where the kids love it. It's like this playground of lily pads that go all the way up to the ceiling, and the kids love to climb on that forever, and then the touch pools. So it's a really fun aquarium for families.
I agree. You see the big octopus at the front that kind of is this huge attraction to kind of get your attention and make you want to go in and see what's in the aquarium. But it doesn't look like a huge building, like as you look at the building, but they've done a great job with it. There's so much in there. So
it's so fun. And honestly, a little secret, that's only phase one. They're going to keep expanding and making it bigger and better. Each time someone comes to Branson to visit, you're going to see probably a new expansion to the aquarium. And right there in front of that giant octopus, they have a fountain show that was created by the same people who did the Bellagio fountains in Las Vegas. So they have this fountain show where the water is choreographed to music, and it's so fun to just sit and watch that.
So already, I mean, we've only talked about 4 or 5 things, and already you can see why it would be such a great idea to go to Branson.
Yeah.
So another thing we did, so this isn't in Branson itself, but we went and floated the Buffalo River. So this was such a great idea that Bethany and her husband Cameron had for us to do. I don't think it's very hard. I looked it up online. We borrowed kayaks and canoes just because Bethany lives there, but I don't think it would be very hard to rent them locally. No. And you can drive to the Buffalo River and float down this river. It's not very swift or anything. There are a few turns and a few places, but it's not bad at all. It's pretty slow, pretty uneventful, fun to jump in the water. What's that?
And it's not deep.
No.
So if you happen to feel like you're not the best canoe or kayak person and you happen to tip over, you can stand up.
Oh yeah.
So it's not going to be very deep. It's so fun. So this is probably my husband and I, it is our favorite thing to do living in Branson. So like Barbara said, it's not in Branson. We had to drive about an hour down into Arkansas to get to the Buffalo River, but it is hands down our favorite thing to do here is just go float the buffalo. And the best time to do that is in the early summer after all the spring rain. If you go later in the summer, it's going to be a lot harder to float. You're going to be picking up your canoe or kayak and packing over rocks a few times. And so when it gets to that point, we actually like to stay here locally and go to the James River to float because it stays deep, but it's pretty calm. It's not really a river that's going to take you. You really have to paddle and move yourself. Yeah. So the James River is really fun later in the summer to just float along that. But we love the Buffalo down in Arkansas. That's our favorite.
Well, and I thought it was interesting. One of our group was actually going on a paddleboard rather than a kayak or a canoe. And they had removed the fin off the bottom of the paddleboard because there are places that it is so shallow that they didn't want that fin scraping. So it really is not a very deep river. We were there in June. So I guess it was a perfect time to go because we had a great time. So
yeah, it's my favorite. Anytime anyone says you want to go floating, I'm like, yes, I want to go.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. It's like tree lined all the way down and just a beautiful clear river. Like you can see the rocks at the bottom while you're floating or paddling.
The fish.
Yeah, and the fish and everything. It's a super fun thing to do. Okay, back to another kind of show type event is the Dolly Partons Dixie Stampede. So this is also probably a pretty big draw, I would think, there in the area. It reminded me of, if anybody's been to medieval times, if you've been to a medieval times type of show, it's similar to that. It's a dinner show with lots of, I think they have 32 horses and trick riders and this amazing food that they serve you as you are watching the show. So tell us a little bit about that, Bethany.
Yeah, it's a huge draw, especially for families. And so with all of our family coming out for that family reunion, I thought, we have to go to Dixie Stampede because all the little kids are going to love it. And they did. It's so fun to see all of the horses and all the live animals. They do have buffalo. I don't think they had the ostriches in there when we saw it, but we've always liked watching the ostriches in the past, and the pigs and the roosters. So it's really fun to see all the live animals. And then, of course, it's a dinner theater, so you're going to eat your food. The interesting thing with COVID is that they gave us utensils this time around. But always in the past, it was you ate with your hands. Everything that they put on your plate, it was finger food ready. So you had to eat with your hands. So that was kind of the shocker for me when I sat down, that I thought, oh my gosh, they gave us a fork.
Yeah.
So, but it's so fun. It's so fun to see that. And, there's so many fun shows here in Branson, and with the Showboat, Branson, Belle, and Dolly Partons Stampede. Those are the fun dinner shows that a lot of the families don't ever want to miss when they come.
Well, and I loved how it wasn't just the animals that were on showcase, but there really are performers. Like,
yep.
These are, actors and actresses, and, they're performers and riders. Like, they have to be really good horseback riders to be in this show as well. So.
Yep, you saw the barrel racers and the trick riders, and it's a competition. When you're there, it's a competition between the north side of the building and the south side of the building, and everyone wants their side to win. So, you're out there cheering on your team of riders, because if they win their barrel race, then your whole side wins. And of course, it really gets the audience involved, because you want your side to win.
Mm-hmm. So that was super fun as well. Okay, a few other attractions that we want to mention. One is the Butterfly Palace. There's over 1,000 butterflies here, flowers, and a rainforest. So I actually personally did not go into the Butterfly Palace, but some of our group did. So, and I know, Bethany, of course, you've been there. So tell us what you love about the Butterfly Palace.
Oh, okay. Well, the number one thing that I love about the Butterfly Palace is just how peaceful it is. Like, my kids, they love to go there. Whenever we have a bored afternoon, it's like, well, can we go to the Butterfly Palace? The interesting thing about it is they bring butterflies in from all over the world. So they're not just local butterflies that we have. They are really interesting, beautiful butterflies that are brought in from all over the world. It's, of course, a controlled environment, so that the butterflies can't come in or out with you. You have to go kind of through some security steps to get into it. And then they always give you this little vial of nectar that you can walk around, and the butterflies will land right on your vial of nectar, and you can just sit there. And sometimes you'll have one, sometimes you'll have 5 or more butterflies that'll all get attracted to your nectar. And honestly, one of my favorite things to do is just sit. But it's so beautiful inside there. They have, it looks like a tropical rainforest, and they have benches that are natural, made out of different kinds of wood. And you can just go sit down somewhere and just see the butterflies, and they'll land on your clothes, your hair, they'll land all over on you. And it's just really fun to see them. And one of my favorite things, one of my kids' favorite things, is that every once in a while they will let you release a butterfly. So once the butterfly has come out of its chrysalis, they keep it in these little plastic tubs, and they'll hand them out to certain people if you're lucky to get one, and you get to open up and release the butterfly. And it's really, really fun.
That is really fun. Yeah.
It's just very relaxing and peaceful. And sometimes they have live musicians. They've had live, I'm not even sure what to call them. Actors, maybe, but they're like mimes. They're painted to look like statues, and they'll just stand there with a pose, and then you see them move into a different pose. They don't act, they don't speak, but it's really cool to see them all painted like a statue, and the butterflies will just land all over them. It's really fun.
That is fun. What a fun place.
Yes.
So, okay. And not only peaceful, but there's also some more higher adrenaline types of activities. Let's talk about the Alpine Coaster.
Okay, the Alpine Coaster. Well, first of all, there are so many fun things to do, just like the Alpine Coaster. I love it. You know, depending, there's a couple of them here in town. So depending on which one you go to, there's either one that will slowly pull you up a pretty steep hill, and then you wind all the way down it, and you can see all of Branson, and it's so fun. And then the other one, you get to do it twice, just because the hill is not as steep. So it pulls you up and you go down, and it pulls you up and you go down again. And they're just so fun. And they actually just opened a third one up at the Shepherd of the Hills, which when you were here in town, we didn't really go and experience the Shepherd of the Hills or the tower. That's also a huge draw for this neck of the woods. You know, there was a book called The Shepherd of the Hills that's written all about the people here in Ozark. And there was even an old Clint Eastwood. How I know it was Clint Eastwood is my father told me, and he is a big Clint Eastwood fan. Or I'm sorry, oh my gosh, I'm saying the wrong person. John Wayne, sorry. John Wayne. It's a big John Wayne fan is my father. And he is in this movie, and the Shepherd of the Hills movie. And so there's a huge tower here that you can go all the way up, and you can see all around Branson and the surrounding areas. It's gorgeous, but they just opened up a mountain coaster there as well. And that one's really fun. I got to view that for the first time last year. So yeah, there's 3 different mountain coasters here, and all 3 of them are just awesome.
Worth doing for sure.
Definitely. So fun.
That is fun. Okay, another fun place that is just part of Branson, I think, is Dick's 5 and 10 store. This is like this old-fashioned variety store. It is packed with everything. Like, it kind of made me a little anxious to be in there for very long because it's got so much stuff. It's like just packed with stuff. I think the main attraction, I feel like there, even though it has like a little bit of everything, is the retro candy, like the Beeman's gum or the wax lips or the Goo Goo pies or I don't even know what all the stuff is, but just all of that fun retro candy. They just got packed with these aisles packed with candy. So anyway, tell us about the 5 and 10 store. Do you guys go there very often, or what do your kids think about it?
My kids love it. They usually, it's the candy that draws them in there. So again, it's like on a bored afternoon where they say, hey, can we, but out here, we call it Dick's 5 and Dime. So they say, can we go to the 5 and Dime? Yeah. And so we go to the 5 and Dime every once in a while and get some candy, but oh my gosh, there's everything in there. So you're going to find Dick's downtown in the heart of old-fashioned Branson. So Branson used to be a fishing town where the fishermen would all come in right down there on Lake Taneycomo. They'd be fishing all along Lake Taneycomo, and they'd come up and they'd do all their shopping right there, and they'd see some live shows. So that's kind of where Branson got its start, is from a lot of the fishermen that were coming in. And so you have the old Dick's 5 and Dime that's there, and you can find everything in there, as well as all the different shopping that's all in that downtown area. And then down in the Branson Landing, which is a huge outdoor shopping facility. And they have, again, the fountains, that same company that did the Bellagio fountains. So they have a fountain show down there, and just so much fun shopping all along there. And then there's attractions. So if you're down there and you're enjoying your shopping trip, but your kids and your husband are very bored, there's some attractions that they can go do. There's some little bowling areas, and there's an arcade. So there's all kinds of things down there for everybody. There's really yummy restaurants. I was asked if we ever go down there very often, and I said, only to eat. We go down there a lot to eat because we're not big shoppers, but there's also a boardwalk right along the Lake Taneycomo, and that's probably what we do the most. In fact, we did it last night. We took our dogs and we went walking from one end of the boardwalk all the way to the other. There's a ton of people there shopping, watching the fountains, having a great time. And we just love it. I mean, it's just so peaceful. We love to go down there and just walk right along well, it looks like a river, but it's called a Lake Taneycomo. And it's one of our favorite things to do on a Monday night. Go for a walk with the dogs.
Yeah. And it is, so Branson is actually, it's different from Table Rock Lake. It is actually built like right on the side of that Lake Taneycomo. So it's
So it's called Lake Taneycomo because there's a dam on either end, which makes it a lake, even though it runs like a river. Most people think it's a river, but you've got Table Rock Lake on one end, and the water, the bottom of the lake makes Lake Taneycomo from the dam. It comes out from the bottom of Lake Table Rock and it makes Lake Taneycomo. And then there's a dam on the other end where you get bull shoals. And that's another one of our favorite little lakes. That's a secret that most tourists don't know about Branson, is that there's Bull Shoals Lake right around the corner, that's where we love to go do our wakeboarding and our skiing, because the tourists don't know about it. And so it's a little more calm, always great water for water skiing. So Table Rock is usually that lake that everyone likes to go boating and having a great time on, but the locals like to go to Bull Shoals.
It's always good to have a little secret that not everybody knows about. So yeah. So, and just back to just a comment about the shopping. I was amazed at how much like variety of shopping that there is there. There's not there at the landing, but there in Branson, there's this whole outlet set of Tanger outlets that are there. You know, and then of course there's the tourist shops, and then you know, all the little local things, and there's, you know, we saw an Amish country store that's there. I mean, just so much shopping. Like, just if you are a shopper, you definitely could have tons to do going to.
Oh yeah, there are so many little shopping areas. In fact, when our reunion was all done and everyone was heading home, my mom looked at me and she says, "But we didn't go to my favorite stores." So yeah, we barely scratched the surface of all the fun things to do in Branson.
Yeah, so much to do. So is there anything else? Like, I know you have like packed in so much information into this, Bethany. Is there anything else you can think of that you would recommend or tell people to do or see while they're here in Branson?
Oh my gosh, honestly, Branson, there is so much to do. When our family came out, we were there for a week. And like I said, we barely scratched the surface of things to do. There's all kinds of live shows to see. We mentioned the Showboat and Dixie Stampede, but if you're really wanting to know what was the beginnings of Branson, then you'd go see the Presleys or the Baldknobber shows. Those are the shows that were the original shows here in Branson. And so those shows, you're going to have country, you're going to have bluegrass, gospel music, kind of that old hillbilly hee-haw type of comedy that some people still really, really like. There's a lot of family shows in town. You've got the Hughes brothers, the Duttons, the Haygoods are great, all very, very talented people. And Branson, it has a huge patriotic draw. So we have a giant Veterans Day parade, and every show in this town honors the veterans. It's a very, very patriotic town. We're very proud of our American heritage, and every show that you see, just know that there's going to be flags and patriotic songs, and they're going to want you to stand up with your hand over your heart. And that's something that we're really proud of here in Branson, is that we are proud to be Americans here.
Yeah,
you're going to find it in every show.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's an endless amount of attractions to do. There's the Snowflex, that's so much fun. If you love snow tubing in the wintertime, here you can do Snowflex, which is tubing in the summertime. And my kids love that. They love all the go-karts. One of the things that we didn't experience when you were out here, Barbara, is Big Cedar and Fun Mountain. That is amazing. It's another cave. There's amazing restaurants. It sits high up on one of the bluffs that overlook all the Ozark Mountains and all of Table Rock Lake. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love Big Cedar. And then right there is Fun Mountain, which is a really cool bowling facility, arcade, so many fun things there for kids to do, go-karts and a ropes course. And if you are a golfer or a fisherman, Branson is like your paradise. There are amazing golf courses all over out here. There's a ton of them, tons of golf courses, tons of fishing opportunities. And probably one of my favorite things to do is go to Dogwood Canyon. It's a facility that you pay a daily membership to just go in, and you can fish, you can go bike riding, you can just go walking through it. There's a chapel there that a lot of people get married in. There's a really yummy restaurant that's made out of an old mill, like an old grist mill. And that's really, I love Dogwood Canyon. My family, we usually like to do that in the fall when all the leaves are changing. We'll bring our bikes and we'll bike all through Dogwood Canyon. And definitely one of my favorite things. I love it. There's the College of the Ozarks out here too. Everyone is really fascinated by the College of the Ozarks because the students that go there, they have to work. It is known as Hard Work University. So if you go there and you buy anything, it's going to be student made. You're going to get jams and jellies and ice cream, and it's all run by the students. We like to go out there and watch the cows getting milked by the students. We'll buy some milk out there that was all made by the students. You can go eat at their restaurant there that's at the Keeter Center, and it's all made by the students. They are the chefs, they are the servers, they do everything, and that's part of their college education. They are there and they are required to work. And so College of the Ozarks is one of those other things that we just don't like to not see, if that makes sense. We like going to College of the Ozarks. It's a great thing. And then of course we have some great restaurants. In fact, when I reached out to some of my friends and I said, what are some of the things that you always recommend to people when they come to Branson? And every single one of them said, you got to eat here, you got to eat here, you got to eat here. So the food is great. We've got great barbecue. We have great, like, different ethnic foods, Mexican and Indian, and the Thai restaurant is my favorite. I could eat at the Thai restaurant every day. But my dad, whenever he comes to Branson, he always says, let's go to Billy Bob's, which you can get a big burger and a big milkshake, and it's his favorite. So many wonderful, awesome things to do in Branson. You could never get bored here.
I can totally believe that. There's just so much to do. And I love the variety. Like, it's not all just busy, go, go, go. Like, I love the contrast of being able to be in nature, or go to the Butterfly Palace, or, do things in nature, like floating the river, or like you said, seeing the trees when they're changing, or different things like that, in contrast to the busy, fun activities as well. So it's just such a place.
Just like taking an afternoon to just go sit by the lake, do nothing but just sit by the lake is just so wonderful. And it's gorgeous.
Yeah. It is beautiful country and just a super, super fun place to be. So I want to just thank you, Bethany, for taking your time and talking to me today. It's just been so fun. I knew that this would be like the perfect thing to get you on here, and not just me talking about the things that we did while we were there, but to, get your perspective too, because you've just lived there for so long and know so much about it.
I know. Well, and so many people, whenever I would say, oh, I live in Branson, Missouri, there's so many people that think, ew, Branson, isn't that like the old people Vegas? And, it's not, there used to be the old shows of, Andy Williams and Mickey Gilley. And a lot of people are not interested in that, in the old country shows, but that's not all that's here. There is so much here. It's a really, really fun place.
Yeah. Like you say, it's totally adapted to kind of what people want now too. So it's not just a stuck in time kind of place. So
you're not going to be stuck watching some boring country show. If you don't like country, there's so much more to do here than watch a show. In fact, we did it when you were here. We just saw those 2 shows, but we were busy. We were on the go doing so many things.
Yes, there was not a dull moment at all. So it was a really super fun week, the week that I spent out there, and we loved it. You guys were great hosts, and it was perfect to be able to have people to tell us what to do. So now, Bethany, you've also told, other people what they could do or expect while they're in Branson. So thank you so, so much for being willing to talk to me about it.
You're welcome. I love sharing my home. It's a place worth coming to.
It definitely is. Thanks. We'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share, subscribe, or leave a review. If you'd like to contact me about a vacation, the best way is to visit my website, sweetdreamstravel.net. To connect on social media, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, or LinkedIn. See you next time.